Welcome to Biz Dev Live. My name is Cameron Toth, the host of Biz Dev Live, and I'm so excited for you to be here today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button. We have Luke Van Every. And if you don't know what a PEO is, a professional employer organization is, we're going to explain that today. Luke's come up a great business model where he gets to be a hero for all parties, so you're going to enjoy hearing that. He has an amazing story. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Luke Van Every right after the Biz Dev theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
All right, I'm going to bring Luke up on screen so I can tell you all about Mr. Luke Van Every. Luke Van Every, founder and CEO of Compare PEO, your trusted PEO specialist, born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he met his wife at the age of 16. He's going to tell us about that. After his marriage in 2015, Luke and his wife moved to New York City, where Luke began his career in the payroll and professional employer organization industry. Over the years, Luke realized that there is not one professional employer organization that can fit the needs of every client's company. With hundreds of professional employer organizations to choose from, Compare PEO is focused on helping clients select the provider that is right for them. Welcome to the show, the amazing Luke Van Every. What's going on?
Cameron, how are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the story, man. So talk to us about what you're currently doing, what the services that you're providing. You have an amazing business model. So tell us a little bit about the services that you're currently providing, folks.
So, yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Compare PEO, your trusted PEO specialist. And what we do is we offer free, dedicated support in your comparison of your top professional employer organization options. At Compare, our goal is to simplify the PEO search process and help you evaluate top providers that best suit your individualized needs, providing transparency and trusted expertise every step of the way to a true comparison.
And for my small business owners, entrepreneurs out there, just explain really briefly for those that kind of need to know, what are some of the services that a professional employer organization provides, especially for small business and entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. So PEOs offer payroll, employee benefits, workers' comp risk management, and HR support through their HRIS enterprise-style platforms. But what makes them different from just a traditional processing payroll is PEOs work off what we call a co-employment model. Mm-hmm. So we take your employees, put them under the federal ID number of the professional employer organization, so they look like the PEO's employees. But
this gives them benefits, or easier access, lower cost benefits, because it's a larger organization, a larger pool. You get those kind of advantages, some of the insurance advantages, a lower cost for some of these things that can be very, very difficult for a single operator or a small business to take on. You offload all the things. There's a cost to it, but if the finances work out, it can be really great. And this is where Luke comes in and offers a great service. So what you provide in terms of providing comparison between some of these top PEO agencies out there, you provide that service for free to entrepreneurs and business owners that are watching the show right now. You can call Luke up and get some more information on whether these companies are a good fit for you, not and which company might be the best one, the right fit for your company. So it's a really cool service. So we'll get deeper into that and how you're helping folks, but I want to really get into the story. So talking about responsibilities, as you're an entrepreneur, as you're a business owner, you start taking on responsibilities beyond yourself, right? For the company that you own, and then eventually for the employees that you employ. You got introduced to responsibilities really early in life. So talk to us, tell us about that story.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I met my wife at the age of 16. I'm 33 now. So we are 17 years into this thing we call life. She's absolutely the most incredible person, the smartest person, and my best friend. But we moved from Charlotte, North Carolina to Raleigh, North Carolina, where we lived for 8 years. And I was working in the restaurant industry, and while she was going to school. And I started with a restaurant. It's called the Q Shack. It was a barbecue restaurant. When I started with them, we had one restaurant and we did about $100,000 in catering. By the end of year 6, we had 5 restaurants and I had built $1 million catering business. And we were having a lot of fun. And I got to the point where I had the capital and the locations to begin opening up my own. And I sat back and thought, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? The restaurant industry, I applaud anyone that is in it. It's a difficult industry to be in, especially over these last couple of years. But it built a lot of character. And I had a fantastic mentor who is still a mentor to me today, Tom Meyer, who still runs those restaurants. And I owe a lot to that man and teaching me how to run a business properly and how to be true to myself and true to my clients. But the restaurant, I had run my course. So I began my sales career with AT&T in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it was great. We had a lot of fun. And after a year of selling, they moved me into management, and we had the #1 store in AT&T in Little Raleigh, North Carolina. And we were just having a lot of fun. And in 2015, my wife graduated law school from Chapel Hill, and she came home and said, "Hey, I got this great job in New York City." And I said, "All right, let's make it happen." So New York City didn't have quite what I wanted from an AT&T standpoint, but I had a fantastic client that I was very close with. And he came in about 2 weeks before I was moving. And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, I'll figure it out. We just got to make sure that we're keeping the wife on course for her dreams and what she wants to do in her career. And he said, "Well, how about this? How about you come give this a shot?" He is, to this day, the #1 enterprise sales rep at Paychex. He's a very good friend of mine. And he said, "Hey, come give this a shot." So that's how I got introduced into the payroll and PEO world. And I had a fantastic 5 years in New York City selling professional employer and payroll direct. But over time, I realized that, there isn't one company that fits the needs of every company, but there can be a PEO or payroll that fits the needs of your company. And I got really tired of telling companies that I couldn't help them because the company that I was working for didn't have an appetite for that kind of business. We all know that people refer and work with people that they like. So 90% of the deals that I was bringing to the table, I had built really great relationships with, and it was tough for me to go back and say, "Hey, I don't have a solution for you. I can't help you. You have to go somewhere else." And that got tiring really quick. So that's where the idea of True Compare PEO came into place. I wanted to go out and vet really great providers and meet with them and bring them into True Compare as partners and say, "Listen, this is what we're trying to build. We want to make sure that we are helping the clients that we're bringing to the table. We're streamlining their processes and we're helping them make the right decision for their company, because PEO is not always going to be a perfect fit for every company. And we're the first to tell you, hey, this isn't going to work. We got to find a different solution." And that's where the honesty and transparency comes through. I'm not here to pressure anyone into something that's not going to work for the business. It has to work for the business, because that's where our long-term relationships with our partners and with our clients is going to be most valuable.
Absolutely. So who was the guy at Paychecks that mentored you?
So his name is Ryan Alavoyd. He is their number one enterprise sales rep. He's a fantastic friend of mine. Still lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. We stay in touch a lot. He was just such a big part of my career. I owe that man so much. He is absolutely fantastic. But he saw the way that I treated him when he would come to AT&T, and the customer service that I gave to him, the dedication and the relationship I wanted to build with him working at AT&T, selling cell phones and internet, right? It can be done. You can build relationships in a retail environment as well. And that's what I went to do. And we still have that relationship today. He's an incredible human being.
Yeah, it's really interesting, how much the hospitality side, the relationship building part of networking, how all of those components fit into being a good business person, right? Having that outlook when you're meeting somebody that, whether it's whether you can see the future or not, right? That relationship is important, whether it's just the sale that day or if it's going to be a relationship that's going to last over years. You don't know. And so treating people the right way, taking care of folks, it really pays off. I think it's one of those things that I know from my hospitality career, I find so useful on an ongoing basis, just that nurturing and care, taking care of people, it pays dividends, right? Just in terms of how people see you, approach you, and working together. I loved hearing in your story that you had multiple mentors and people that you appreciated, and you were able to kind of succeed kind of wherever you go. I also appreciated that you got married young, but you were taking care of each other and really supporting your wife as she continued her education.
Oh yeah.
What was the conversation around that? Because I know a lot of couples out there that are dealing with those kind of challenges. Who comes first? Who's going to go get their education? Whose job is more important? There's so many conversations around that. So how do you guys manage that on a relationship level, and then even sparse out time, right? Just
Yeah.
in terms of time.
I'll tell you a little story. My wife, when she was an undergrad, she's the type of person, she can read a book one time and knows, the third word on the 500th page and the second paragraph, right? I got to read the book 4 or 5 times for it to set in. And she just loved going to school. She loved it. Then she got to law school, and we were about maybe a quarter into law school. And I came home from work, and I was walking around our apartment at the time, and I was like, man, where's Elizabeth? And I went in the closet, and she was sitting there crying a little bit. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, this is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. Mm. And we sat in that closet and spoke for probably 2 hours, talking it through. We put it in, we've gotten what we need. This is where we are. If we're going to bail, I support you in bailing. We can go a different direction, but we got to bail now. We can't bail in like the 3rd year once we've gone through all of this. And I was like, it's your decision, and I support you in what you want to do. And she stuck with it, ended up graduating at the top of her class from Chapel Hill. And that was a long 3 years. It was a grind, getting up, going to work, making sure that she was as comfortable as she could, and giving her time to study, staying out of her way when she was studying, being in there for when she was having a tough day. It was a team effort, and it's the only way that it can be successful. And I knew she's known what she's wanted to be her entire life.
Wow.
And when we really got serious about our relationship, it was like, I'm not going to get in the way of your dreams, because your dreams have been your dreams since you were 10. Mm. Well, I'm going to stay my course, and we're going to get you to where you need to be. And that's what we stuck to. And when we moved to New York, it opened up so many opportunities. And when I got there, I said that I'm going to integrate myself into this community, and I'm going to meet a new person every day. I'm going to make sure that I get my name out here and I help.
And what was your approach to that? How did you actually make that happen?
So the obvious way to first integrate yourself into networking is the BNI, right? You join a BNI and you go through the process, because BNI is a fantastic place to if you get into a BNI group, you automatically have an ecosystem. Day one, you have an industry in each one. So that really taught me the giver's mindset. They did a great job with the giver's mindset, but I wanted more. So, I did all of the traditional prospecting, the phone calls, the emails, did my KPIs as I was asked to. Anytime my company told me, this is what you need, this is what we need from you, I made it happen. And then in the extra time, I went and found my other ways. In-person networking, I'd go to every single one. I talked to everybody I could. And
did that come easy for you?
No, not at first. I mean, it probably came easier to me than others because of the restaurant industry. Because I had to speak to so many people on a daily basis in the restaurant, and so many people.
Yeah, there's no way around.
There's no way around
serving
no way around
and not talking to people. Right?
Either the client is going to love the food or they're not, and you got to make sure that they love the food. You got to make sure you're catering somebody's 400-person wedding. You can't screw that up, because that gets out. You're not getting any other weddings. So I had the people skills down from working in retail and in the restaurant industry, right? I learned that over that span. So I knew how to speak to people. I had to learn how to give back, right? I had to learn how to refer others, because the PEO and the payroll do a lot, but there are so many other amazing service providers and consultants, all different aspects that you can bring into your client that just make you look like a superstar.
Right.
So that was my first. It was like, all right, I got to learn what other people do. I got to meet. So I would go into one-on-ones and coffees and lunches and be like, we'll talk about me on the next one. I want to know what you do, how you do it, who you're looking for, and who you want to network. I made it a priority of mine that, hey, if we're going to be great networking partners, we're going to meet more than once, because the first time, all I want to hear about is you.
Oh, that's a great approach. I love that. And what was the sort of the ROI that you saw from that? What did you see in terms of those relationships?
So, it takes time. Networking is not a one-time thing. You want to get in there and actually build the relationship. And the ROI comes from, if you're referring first, you're giving people deals, you're bringing people in, it is human nature to repay, right? I call it my referral debt. Individuals aren't really in my debt, but if I'm working with my ecosystem and I'm bringing them into deals and I'm helping them grow their business, they know that there's going to be a point in my business where I got to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some help. Absolutely. People are willing to help you if you ask, and you are not greedy and just taking. If you're giving out, if you surround yourself with individuals that you've helped and that want to help you, they're going to answer that call to help. People want to help each other.
And we were introduced through this group, the In This Together roundtable. I was Esther introduced us and brought me in, and you were hosting this thing, and you did a great job of facilitating. Very selfless and trying to connect people and shout people out. How did you get involved in that?
So Esther Deutsch of RCS Professionals is one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. And we met at a BNI meeting. And 2 weeks later, we had lunch, and we had synergies immediately. She handled a different aspect of business than I did. So we began networking, probably 2 in-person networking events together for years. Well, in March of 2020, when all of the in-person got canceled, she was the first person I called. I said, all right, what are we going to do? And we collaborated a couple times, and we're like, all right, let's do this. Let's do a networking event, our own. Let's make it free. Let's make it non-exclusive, and let's make it solely around helping one another, because that's where we were in the world. Everybody needed help, so we emailed it out to everybody. We were like, we'll call it In This Together Roundtable. We'll moderate it. We'll let everybody present. We won't put time limits. We're just going to make this a community of helping one another. And we thought we'll do it for a couple weeks. We just hit our 1-year anniversary. We hosted every Tuesday from 11 to 1 o'clock. And we have between 30 and 60 people on the call every week. And the conversations that we're having we have accumulated a group of true networkers that really want to get to know people that call in to the group. And I used to say, I was like, listen, people kept showing up. I was like, I'm going to show up every
and this isn't a Zoom meeting. So I think everybody's gotten familiar over the pandemic, getting on video calls, and Clubhouse has been really popular. And before Clubhouse was even on your radar, you were doing something a little bit different. You weren't doing it as a Zoom call. So tell people a little bit about that aspect of it.
So on our net, we do not turn on cameras. What we do is I moderate and I go through and I call on each individual to tell us about your business, tell us what's working well in your business, educate us on how you're growing your business, and then we tell us what your need is. Then we open it up to the group so people can raise their hands and have conversations right on the fly. That's what's so powerful. And we don't turn on cameras. And the reason is because, first, I don't care what you look like. I care about what you say. This is going to force people to get better at their elevator pitch, because if you go too long, which I'm not going to tell you to stop talking, if you go too long, you're going to lose people listening in. If you're structured, you stay to it, stay to the point, you bring great value, people's hand raise go up like that. Connections are coming your way. And that was what we wanted. We wanted real connections. So it forces you to listen. You have to take notes. You have to listen to what people are saying. You have to streamline your pitch. We have people come all the time and say, hey, they call me and say, hey, Luke, I'm going to try a different pitch this week. I'm like, great, go for it. You can practice different pitches. Bring different points each week. Bring different companies or human beings that you want to meet each week. It really makes you zone in and focus on who's talking and listening to take the points back to see if they're going to be a good fit. And that's not for everyone.
Right.
The other point of not turning on the camera, it's 11 to 1 on a Tuesday. If you want to eat lunch, eat lunch.
No, I love the format. Normally I'm not able to participate. Esther invited me a while back, but I actually do BizDev Live, and I have the networking by BizDev Live that I do on Tuesdays. So 11 to whatever time, and then 12 o'clock. Those time periods. So I'm usually busy during those times, but I took off last week. I had surgery a few weeks ago, so it was a great opportunity. I jumped on this, and it was refreshing because, exactly what you're saying. Somebody could pitch long, but you're not sitting there having to face the camera and keep a smiling face. You can kind of, sort through paperwork and tune out for that specific piece of it. Not to say that that's best practice. And there was definitely other people that were like on business calls, and you could hear that, but there were people on there that were committed. The fact that you don't have to be on camera, you could sort of be in a place where you could still kind of be productive during that time. I thought it was a great format. I met people, connected with people. It was something a little bit different, which everybody, I think, is looking for different ways to connect. And I don't think, there's any one right way to do networking, right? And we can see that through things like Clubhouse, vehicles like Facebook, and then LinkedIn, which happens to be my favorite, but it's not the only way, obviously, to connect with people, because I've made great connections through Instagram. I've made great connections through Clubhouse. I've made great connections through your group, right? So there's so many different ways to it. Going back to your story, being in the city, getting involved with BNI. I'm president of the Mount Pleasant Master Networks chapter, which is similar kind of networking organization to BNI. So many different ways to do it. And in fact, by going out and experimenting. You can find places if you were initially feeling like this didn't feel right. There's always another place to go. Don't let it stop you from networking, right?
Yeah, we know that In This Together is not for everyone. But here's another really great thing about In This Together is I'm not going to call you and say, hey, where were you last week? You come when you can. We cross-pollinate all the time. We talk about other networking events that we're going to. And that's important to me now because of this virtual world. I've realized very quickly that I don't have to network in the city or in state that I live in. We're sitting in the same room right now. So if the majority of my callers are in New York, but then I'm joining a networking call in Chicago or in Nevada or in California, I want to bring those networkers with me. Let's cross-pollinate. Let's have conversations. In This Together, we've had CPAs give CPAs referrals. We've had recruiters give recruiters referrals. IT give IT. We've had same industry passing referrals because maybe it wasn't the right fit for them or wasn't the right geo. So I understand the aspect of wanting to keep a close knit group. I understand that, and I believe in that as well. But if 2020 2021 has shown me anything, is that I want to meet one new person every day all over the country, because we can have a conversation sitting in the same room just by turning the camera on.
Yeah, I think business development, especially over the last year, has entered a whole new age. I think everybody's sort of been awakened to this ability that we have to sort of Zoom into the offices of just about anywhere on the planet that has internet service. It's really something special, and the equity that it brings to the table for folks that couldn't get into markets across the country, or even downstate or upstate.
I'll give you an example. So True Compare has an announcement coming out soon about going global. And how it happened is there's this networking application called Lunch Club. And now Lunch Club was built to connect you with like-minded individuals in your city to go and have lunch. Well, they pivoted and now you have a virtual lunch. Well, there's a geographical on there, and I didn't change it. It was the first couple times I had done it. I got connected with somebody in Germany. We had an hour and a half long conversation, and it was fantastic. There wasn't much I could do for her because her business is solely in Germany, but she had a friend at a global PEO that said, hey, Luke, I think you should go have a conversation with them. They might be able to help your global employees, and we'll be announcing who that is soon, so that we can now not only help United States employees, but we're going to be able to help in 100 different countries as well.
And tell us about this, because you've set up these contracts so this is how you get paid, right? You have partnered with these PEO referral firms, so you get an in to these places, so you really understand their services, their offerings, so you can be a good advisor to a small business, to an entrepreneur that's trying to take this piece off their table, make sure they're taking care of their employees, cross their T's, dot the I's, make sure they're protected as an organization, right? So how did you even get the idea to kind of set up these contracts and set up this business model? And then how did you go about doing that? Because obviously this whole international offering, that's, going to be a test of your model, right? Being able to actually take that same model that you're using in the United States and then bring it international. So talk to us, how did you get started with that whole business model? How did you think of it in the first place?
So let's start with how there are 900 professional employer organizations in the country. 900. NAPIO just came out, and then the calculation is 900. So how do you pick the right one? Most of them are small regional players focused on one city, one state, one region, which doesn't make them a bad thing. They're great. But I wanted to make sure I partnered with PEOs on a national level that had a great offering in all 50 states and that could help all 50 states. Now we are working on getting a few regional players as well. That's coming in the pipeline. But we vetted close to 50 PEOs, and we came up with the 11 that we have. And we're extremely excited to be partnering with them and having them as partners to help the clients that fit their value prop and business model best. How I came up with it, it's the old health insurance broker model, right? We used to go straight to a health insurance broker, and they would pull up different carriers and they would compare them and help you find the insurance to fit your needs the best. We're doing that. I'm a licensed health insurance broker, but we're doing it from a higher standpoint in the PEO model, making sure that the payroll piece is going to fit you best. The benefits from medical, dental, vision, long-term, short-term disability, all the way down to pet insurance, that we're getting a robust benefit plan, not just health, a very robust benefit plan to hire and retain top talent. We want to make sure that the workers' comp underwriting is correct and coded correctly for you and all of your employees. And then what kind of HR support do you need? Do you need just a platform and more of a do-it-yourself? Do you need a fully backed office of HR? Or does your current great HR department just need support in the ever-changing HR landscape? So it really came from the broker model of the past, and that's where it fit and it made sense.
And how did you go about actually having those conversations with these companies? I assume because they are working with other folks that are doing some of these kind of things in terms of selling maybe one service, referrals, right? Every company works to have a referral sort of plan or program in place. So you had that going for you as you started these conversations. But is your contract individual to you? I'm assuming it is.
Yeah. So how we came, I have seen companies grow from 10 employees to 1,000 employees and then get purchased for $1.8 billion. And the entire time they were on a PEO. I've watched clients of my own grow to that scale and get acquired to that scale. And a lot of it had to do with the support and the streamline of the PEO. They were there the whole time. So I've seen the benefit of the PEO when it fits really great. And so I believe in it. So that's why we wanted to get into this. As for the contracts, when we narrowed it down to 11, I expected to get 6. But when I went and I sat with each company, I explained to them what we were doing. And I explained to them, hey, listen, I'm here to sell the value of your company to the client that fits you the best. I told all, are you going to win every deal? No, you're not. It's not how it works. But you're going to win the ones that you're going to take care of the best. That's the most important piece of my business, is making sure I help the client get all of the information they need to make the best decision for them for the longest period of time. The contract, and the thing is like, some people are hesitant. They're going to be like, oh, well, he's just going to push me to the one that pays them the most. They all pay me pretty much the same, maybe $1 here and there. It's not enough to push everyone to one company, because if I push a client to one company and they're upset, who they're going to be upset with, Cameron? Me or the PEO?
Yeah, absolutely. The guy that advised them to the place, right?
I can't afford to have black marks on my brand and my name. Not now and not ever. So
talk to us. How do you make customer satisfaction your number one goal? You've been involved with a couple of different businesses. So I want to, obviously, you're talking about your business and how you're taking care of those folks, but kind of what's been that secret sauce over the last 3-4 businesses that you've been a part of, and now you have your own company. But what was that secret sauce? You talked about the growth with the Q-Shack barbecue, right? Going from one restaurant to 6 restaurants under Tom Meyer. So what is that making customer satisfaction your number one goal? How does that work? We have lots of conversation in the marketplace. Who's the most important? I'm a big advocate of taking care of your employees and making sure that they're treated great, because if you treat them great, usually that turns into great customer care, right? Because they're in a good position to do that. But what's been your approach to making customer satisfaction your number one goal?
We have one rule: take care of the client. Period. If you take care of the client, the money, the deals will come.
And how do you sort of place that? Because I just threw that whole piece in there about the employee, and obviously, you talk about catering and you talk about margins, and I think a lot of people will say, well, if I'm ordering catering, the best catering company is the one that gives me the cheapest price, but that's not exactly what you're talking about. So when you quantify how you're making, the customer satisfaction piece your number one goal, how are you actually, making that work within a business model?
So it goes back to the restaurant consistency. Your food has to be consistent. When somebody comes and eats at your restaurant, when they come back the second time, it needs to be the same.
So that doesn't mean the lowest price.
No. We talk about it all the time here at True Compare. We're not always going to pick the cheapest proposal. We're going to get you a great deal. Of course, we're going to work very closely to get you a great deal. We're not going to pick the cheapest, because that's not always the best. You pay for what you get, and it all depends on what your needs are and where we want to look. Cheapest is not always going to be the best, right? They're all PEOs, but they're all very different. Listen, a Honda and a Ferrari do the exact same thing, but they are not the exact same thing.
Yeah, when somebody comes and sells you a Ferrari and it's got the guts of a lemon, you're not going to be happy, even though you got the thing that looks like a Ferrari at a cheaper price, right? It's not going to be fun. And I love that piece of it, the consistency. I love that piece of it, because that really is sort of what gets people to come back. You get the word of mouth, and people know what they're going to come to expect, and that's how you get that satisfaction piece of it, right? I really appreciate that. Talk to me about when you started your business. Why was it a good time? Why is there never a better time to start your business than today?
Well, for me, it goes back to what you just spoke about, and taking care of your employees. I got a little tired of it never being enough, right? Getting squeezed. I want to build a culture here that we bring reps on, that they can actually build their own book of business and take care of their clients and live their life. Right. I want my employees to be able to have a work-life balance. If you do your job, good job, and enjoy your life. Stay focused, take care of your client, but I want you to enjoy your life as well. Why this is the best time ever to start a business? Because it's still, everybody's virtual. The overhead cost of starting a business has never been lower. You don't have to buy a big office to have employees in. You don't have to buy a big office for yourself to sit in. You need a great camera, a great mic, a great computer, and a focus on taking care of your clients. Overhead for starting a business has never been lower. The willingness of others to speak to others has never been greater, and you can speak to people everywhere.
Yeah, I think there's a big challenge for folks that are challenged with this technology. And it was interesting because I'm a part of a program that provides college and career preparatory assistance out of A. Philip Randolph Campus High School in Harlem. The name of the organization is called soundbusiness.org.
Cool.
The principal that really kind of got the high school on the map, she had come in, she's since passed away. Her name was Lottie Taylor. And it was really interesting because she was, you talk about great managers. You talked about Ryan, who was at Paychecks that helped you out, Tom Meyer, some of these great mentors. Listening to folks that have been there, that understand education, industry, it's one of those big things. And it was really interesting when she was telling the high school students, make sure you stay on top of this technology. Make sure you stay up to date. And it's really interesting. The world is going fast right now. We're getting into things like cryptocurrency and NFTs, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But the idea that if you can't operate a laptop or a desktop and get your camera and mic and be able to produce content, be able to jump on a Zoom call and have a conversation with somebody, and even just to look awkward at this point after a year of doing it, it's like, is this somebody that I want to work with? Are they going to make my life easier? Are they going to make my work, family life easier if if this is a regular meeting? It's one of those things. Stay on top of that technology, take the investment, get somebody to mentor you. It's really, really important, right? I definitely appreciate that. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah. I took it to the next level. I took time in developing my backdrop.
Yeah.
That wasn't just, hey, that looks cool. Me and my wife sat and we painted this wall black. We did a couple of different colors. What's going to pop? What's going to look the most professional? What's going to look nice?
It looks great. It looks great, by the way. Very, very nice.
I wanted to,
the plants.
That's one thing that, a lot of people, we talk about a network, we talk about what's behind people. I'm not saying that you sitting in your kitchen is a bad thing. Like, we all understand that, but I want consistency. Every single time somebody gets on a Zoom call, they know exactly what they're going to be getting. I'm wearing a branded shirt. I still get dressed for work every day.
Absolutely.
Every day I get dressed for work because it keeps me consistent. It keeps me on my path and my process.
Absolutely. And I was talking about this yesterday with the networking by BizDev Live. So this is, it's networking, but in my head, it's training people how to network. And I was talking about vocal tone, but we were also talking about how you present your brand and having some sort of branded element, in your view, whether it's something like, a logo in your background, something on your shirt. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. You can have a little flag. You can have a little sign on a stick. There's so many different ways to do it, but it's so important to like you say, people know what they're going to get. So it goes back to that consistency and providing that satisfaction, because I knew when I called Luke, and I think it's one of those things that's it provides great referrals, because if I'm saying, oh man, I'm going to refer Luke over to this person, one of the things that sort of goes through my mind, and I think it goes through most people's minds, is this person going to make me look good? If I send this person over here, just like you were saying, if I send this person to the wrong company, it's not going to make me look good. So that's not something I want to do. I think that goes through people's minds with the referral thing is this person, if I send this person to this person, are they going to make me look good? I had somebody call me up and they were looking for, they were looking to sell somebody on something. They're like, what are you looking for? Let me make sure that, because what's that going to come off like? Cameron sent you over here and you're bothering me with the sales thing. Like, let me make sure this is lined up. I want to help you out, but I don't want to look ridiculous or look like I'm bothering people, right? And you get that kind of stuff. And I think it's really important. So making sure that you're solid, you come through, because if I get on that phone call, you're asking me to refer you to somebody, and you're somebody that I'm not really plussed about in terms of how you show up and your consistency, there's not going to be a great outcome to that phone call.
I want to put this out there because this has happened to me in the past. If somebody reaches out to you and says, Luke or True Compare thought it would be a good idea for me to reach out, and there isn't an introduction from me, do not respond to that email and send it to me immediately. I have, and I never will just tell somebody, yeah, give them a call, send them an email. I always facilitate the relationship connection, because I'm putting my name on that as well. If I'm introducing you, I'm putting my name on you. I'm saying that this human being is going to do a great job, or you guys or gals have great synergy and should connect. If there's no connection from me, I didn't tell that individual or business to call you.
Yeah, I hear that. So how can we make yesterday envy today?
So I started telling myself that right when I started the business. It's like, make yesterday envy today. Make Sunday envy Monday. Do it. Make yourself do something today that betters yourself every day. It doesn't have to be a huge change. It can be, folding that laundry that's sitting there. Make the effort on the small things to better yourself every day. If you're not a big exercise guy like me, that's okay. Find out what it is that makes you better every single day. Find something every single day to make yourself better, more productive. It doesn't have to be a huge thing every day. Something small is fine. My biggest advice to make yesterday envy today is meet somebody new, one new person every day. You'd be surprised on how many amazing people are actually out there in this world.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely a pleasure too to meet you. And I, doing this show, it's one of those things, having guests on the show, it's a huge opportunity. People talk about, starting a podcast, not only from the exposure they can give your brand, but the opportunity that it gives you to be in front of people. I always am really appreciative of every person that comes on the show because I get to learn so much from them, the exposure to what they're thinking, their story. It's a big deal. One of the things that you were talking about when you were saying, I really focus on the other person. I don't even want to talk about me. I just want to, hear about this person in the phone call. And sometimes that's a little battle because the other person's sitting there. I want to learn about you. Right. But that approach, the approach there, where I'm really trying to learn somebody, it's university. When people talk about education, that is to me what education is all about. You're learning about people, where they're coming from, get to hear their story, empathize with them a little bit more. And then in terms of Rolodex and stickiness, in terms of being able to connect people and being that person that is a great connector, that becomes that referral source for so many people, it's that kind of digging. And sometimes you do have to dig. I mean, I know I've had many, many people that I've gotten on a one-on-one call and like, right, I understand that's who you work for. I understand that's the service that you provide. Tell me a little bit more about you. Like, what are your interests? What do you, where you live? What's going on? Because that gives me a little bit more insight into who you are as an individual. And in that way, man, now I get a little bit more of a feel of where you're coming from. I understand a little bit more about what you're about. Because jobs are jobs. And it's great if your job matches up with your why and your passion, right? But we're always multifaceted individuals. And the fact that you mountain bike on the weekends, so do I, right? Those kind of things pop up. It just gives you so many more entryways into the person. I thank you for sharing your story today, really going in deep. And I love the relationship that you and Elizabeth have, the way that you've supported each other. It's an amazing source of inspiration for folks. So keep on doing what you're doing. Congratulations to Elizabeth, by the way. I want to make sure I get that in. Hopefully I'll get to meet her someday. And before we go, how should people reach out to you, and who are you looking to specifically connect with you?
So you can reach out to me directly to info@truecomparepeo.com. You can then go to our website, truecomparepeo.com. We'd love for people to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, True Compare PEO. LinkedIn we're big on LinkedIn. That's where we do a lot of our marketing. We do a lot of our updates. We do a lot of promotion of our partners and friends and family. If you want to learn, If you are new and want to learn what a PEO is, if you just want to learn what a PEO is, I'd love to educate you on it. If you are currently on a PEO and you might want to take a look at your other options, we'd love to have a conversation with you. And if you're a big networker and you want to have a great conversation to build a relationship, reach out. Cameron.
Folks that are looking to find Luke Van Every on LinkedIn, the link for his LinkedIn is in the YouTube description down below. It's also off to the side on Facebook. Luke, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your story and sharing your insights. Really appreciate what you bring to the table. Good luck in all the future endeavors. Looking forward to the upcoming announcement on the International True Compare coming up. Very exciting. Thank you. Once again, I'm going to ask you to say goodbye to everybody, and we'll play everybody off with the BizDev theme.
Thank you so much, Cameron. Looking forward to doing this again next year to give you a follow-up. Thank you, everyone.
Sounds good.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T.